Hi, everyone. We have Jacob Ruck here, the coach of all coaches. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I was wondering about successful people and regular people. Who has more time in their day?
You're saying successful people or regular people?
Yeah. Who
Successful
has
people,
more free?
they have no time. Successful people have no time and they get a lot more done in the no time and they can start new things in the no time that they have.
So, but they have the options of what to do with their time, right?
Yeah, sometimes. I think a lot of people also who are successful know what they have to do and are willing to do what they have to do. And they actually see what they do as fixed and unmovable. So while you might say they have options, what I find amongst very successful people is they don't usually deviate so much from a particular plan, a particular diet, maybe what they do, who they do it with, etc.
Wow. So, being a business owner versus being an employee, is being a business owner for everyone or
No,
maybe not?
no,
No. Okay.
not for 80% or more of the people.
Why is that?
It's funny because I think in the old days, everyone was a business owner or whatever, small, farmer, whatever it might be. But I think our system is developed to train people. And this was like post 1920s to train people how to follow instructions. And so I think we're more or less as a society built to be instruction followers and rule followers. And being a business owner is really hard because there's not really anyone telling you what to do except you have everyone's your boss. Your clients are your bosses, your employees are your bosses, you work for the government, like whatever it might be. So it's much more structurally uncomfortable for people to run their own company, and therefore most people probably shouldn't do it.
Okay, so it's a generation or a few generations of like in the olden days, I would sell you apples, you will sell me oranges.
Yep.
But then there's an industrial revolution, and everyone works for the same person.
Yeah, you're really trained how to basically follow the rules and follow instruction. And so for a lot of people, it's not easy. And I think that if a person's trying to figure out should I launch my own business or not, you know, most people don't even think like that. And so I usually say don't, unless you have a really compelling reason, at which point you should. But you're
So
right.
you so you're saying that to stay once you do open the business, to stay consistent and do what you need to do in order to be successful is the hard part.
Right.
Okay. So you're Baruch Hashem really successful, and sometimes people
I won't look like I'm successful, depending on who's looking at me, but go ahead.
okay, in my view of the world.
Thank you.
But sometimes we forget, like a lot of these successful people went through a lot in order to get to where they get to, right? And so I'm wondering, like, everyone's thinking, okay, wow, he's doing all these things, but I want to hear some of the stories or some of the jobs that maybe are dumb jobs or horrible jobs that you have done before you were here.
Oh, um, boy, I've done every bad job out there. I made pizzas. I was a garbage man. Um,
Wow.
I, I worked I did a lot of nonprofit work, which I really liked. I went broke for most of my life. Um, I was super fat. I had pretty wild challenges with my marriage. I had trouble with my kids. I lost lots of money. Um, what did I, yeah, pretty much screwed everything up, to be honest.
Right. So I have a question about a lot of people say like what you're describing, all these things from doing those jobs and having all those challenges. So a lot of people say if I went through all this and I did it, you for sure could. But then I think like 1 second, the maybe he had a bigger drive to have a better life.
Uh, it's funny. It's a good question because, people have different motivations for why they do things. And, some people, poverty really motivates them. Some people, honor really motivates them. Ego motivates them. Some people, contribution, motivation, impact. I think that, you know, it's funny. There was a teaching, I know this is not a Jewish podcast, but theoretically speaking, if there are Jewish people listening, or could be that I'm Jewish, could be you're Jewish, I don't know. But there's a concept that like God made the world with like the 10 statements, which means there's like 10 different like ways, like there are 10 fingers of ways that you can connect back. And I think it's a lot less, yeah, maybe people have less of a drive, but I think that people have something that matters to them. And that's the channel that I think they can connect to help them create whatever actually matters to them. Again, like most people don't care about making a lot of money or don't care about having a lot of freedom or don't get, again, like, but what really matters to them? You know, in my journey for myself and my journey in working with other people, I'm much more curious, like what matters to me or what matters to them, and not does what matter to me matter to you? And it's been a very humbling process because I assume, oh, everybody wants this. And it's like, no, you're the only one that wants that. I'm like, okay, fine. So I think that learning how to identify your own core drivers is crucial. And then if you want to work with other people, figuring out what their core drivers are is equally as important, probably more important, actually.
So figuring out what the other person wants, what's their motivating driver, and for myself, figuring out what drives me, that's the way I'll be able to have that drive. Also, like, okay, okay, so mentors, how important is mentors in a person's success and their
Very,
journey?
the most. Yeah, I think that you know, if a person doesn't, we are going back to what we talked about, like we are social creatures. And so what's normal and what's doable and we create our own worlds, and our worlds are based off of oftentimes what we see. And so the most important thing is that you know that, because then all you really have to do is find people that are doing what you want to do, or find people that you are naturally drawn to and then see what they're doing, see what their life actually looks like. You know, you could say, you know, again, I've never been, and I have a lot of people that come to work with me and they say, well, what are all the examples of people where it didn't work? And I'm always like, yeah, I don't usually ask that question. I always want to know, find me the one idiot that it worked for, because if there's one idiot that it worked for, could be able to work for me also. And so, you know, it's from my perspective, the way that it kind of going back to what we talked about at the beginning, where this isn't for everybody. I love to be consistently pathetic. What that means specifically is like, I want to be super poor compared to everyone I'm hanging out with. I want to be super, have a terrible relationship compared to everyone I'm hanging out with. I want to have a terrible body compared to everyone I'm hanging out with. I want to have a terrible relationship with God compared to everyone I'm hanging out with. And so I seek those people out because I see what's possible. Now, the reality is most people, again, like a trainer in a gym who might have a great body might not have a great business. A person who has a great business might not have a great relationship with God, or might not have a great family. And so the problem is the people that we follow are usually really good because they do more or less like one thing pretty like all in. And if you're a person that has multiple things that matter to you, you might find that your mentor in spirituality does not look like the way you want to look physically, or the person that looks physically doesn't make any money. And so it's like learning how to identify those different people that you look up to, realize that they probably got there because they were singularly focused. Potentially, you could always ask them, although that's actually not true, because I find once a person sort of like hack a code to becoming really good at something, they can then put it over different parts of their life, right? So again, I will find lots of people that make lots of money and have great bodies. And again, I know there's plenty of people that don't, you know what I'm saying? But like, I try to find people that have the most of everything, because that's really what I aspire to be. And again, it's unapologetic. Like, I know that it doesn't matter to a lot of people, that either the money or the impact or the, like, again, and that's totally, it's not a reflection on me, because ultimately I have to live in my own world and you get your world, and that's all great. And there's no harm, no foul, but it's really about trying to find people that have created the life that you want to live, whether that's in different pieces and you assemble it together for yourself, or people that have created uniformity across what they do.
Right. So finding these people, you're basically looking for like the 0.01%, or like most people are not really going so far in one area.
I think, you know, again, it really depends. The truth is, the more that I'm in this game, the more I see that people are actually able to accomplish a lot in a bunch of different areas. Because when I work with people in the coaching sphere, for example, and people are like, oh, wait a minute. So like, it's all kind of the same thing. It doesn't really matter if it's business or relationships or spirituality or life or whatever it is. It's all kind of the same practice, just applied different ways. I'm like, yeah. I think that success is also the same thing. What will work in your business will probably work in your fitness, will probably work in your relationship with God, and will probably work in your relationships with other people. Get clear,
Okay.
get on compromising, get a vision for what you want to build. How does that work? Who's done that? And what do they do to get there? And like, what are the other factors that allow them to be successful? So it's like, once you see that, so again, like you'll never be able to, I always think about like, I wish I had been investing in 2001 and I would have invested in like Tesla. And you're like, well, it's not 2001 and you're not going to buy Tesla now. And that's not a winning strategy. That was only a winning strategy. But back then Tesla was like, for a lot of people, like that was a crazy idea. No one would have, I don't know, Tesla was around 2001, but like, let's say Amazon, right? But it's like, no, those days are over. But the people that did it, how did they make that decision back then that you can then apply to today? Or the people that built those companies, what were again, Jeff Bezos had a huge vision, minimized the downside of the risk, knew he could always go back and get a regular job, wanted to create something that no one had ever created. But he saw the potential. It's like, cool, I can take that and try to leverage that for whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in your work, of course, we need to provide. That's why we're in our careers. But what drives you? What really speaks to your heart? What fills you up in your career?
If I wanted to just provide, I probably would not have done this because starting a business is not usually help you provide. Why? What drives me? A lot of it's my ego. A lot of it is my desire to help other people with the stuff that I didn't feel like I had. So partially growing up, I didn't feel like not growing up, I'm still growing up. I don't feel like I fit in a box. And so, because I don't fit in a box, which I'm assuming is like a good thing because it would be nice to be in a box for some reason. I don't know why. I really had to kind of chart my own path. And so that's much more of a driver for me than making money. If I was trying to make money, I would have done a normal job. I would have been like a lawyer or something. Like I don't really care about money. I want to have lots of money, but like billions. But I don't really think it matters. Like it doesn't really matter. Like I'll literally sit on a stupid cliff. No, I'll sit on a cliff and I'll watch the sunset and I'll be happier. Like I don't. It's like I've had like I've actually had. Do you ever driven the nicest car? No. Like there's nicer cars out there, but like I legit drove a great car. And can I say that it gave me more joy when I like accelerated with the top down in the desert, which was like a lot of fun, than sitting on a cliff. I go to like the bad beaches in San Diego, like where there's all it's like me and the homeless people, and I'm happier there. And I'll watch the sunset. Like the money stuff doesn't matter. It's that sense of like connection. It's a sense of giving back. I have a verse in I always identified with the biblical characters that talked about like people finding like who they were meant to be. And so like I'm really chasing like what does God want from me as opposed to and not like what does God want from me on like a day in and day out thing. I think I messed that up more than anybody, but I think it's more like what if I would be fully actualized could I accomplish? And that's kind of what I chase. That's not a fast path to wealth. That's not a fast path to like peace of mind. It's actually pretty stressful, and you end up spending a lot of money, making a lot of stupid mistakes. But that's what I want to have at the end of my life.
Okay, and so deep down, did you like going back to times where you weren't, the way you are today, you were having some challenges. Did you
I just
know?
want to say I think I'm more broken now than when I was younger, and I was pretty broken when I was younger. So I don't want. I want to say very. I think one of the things that makes me good at what I do is I never graduated out of screwing things up. And I think that creates a resonance because I like to work with people that are trying to figure things out. A lot of people might say, well, I reached a point and maybe I'll reach that point. I'd love to reach that point. I'm not there. But go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your question. I just want to clarify that.
Okay, so I guess there's different seasons of a person's life. So in earlier seasons, did you know deep down you're going to be where you are today, or you doubted that?
Um, That's a great question. I don't know. I always sort of knew uh, when I was in high school, I used to put on a leather jacket and go try to drive Ferraris. And I was like, dude, you're not driving, don't drive the Ferraris. So I always had an inflated image of myself of like who, like I want to be like the president. And then I wanted to be like, then the next best thing was like a rabbi in my mind. So I did have like kind of a sense that I wanted to do like impactful work and I wanted to like change people. I did have a sense that I wanted to be financially successful. Did I ever think I would get here? No. No. I mean, I don't know. Like, who knows? I guess I'm consistently in awe with like how good God is. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just try to say thank you because it doesn't feel like I like deserve it, but I just try to I try to make the best to use of what I have.
Okay, so continuing to goals and dreams, how important is that setting them, thinking about your dreams, writing them down in order for it to materialize in the future?
I've written my stuff down. I don't do it as much as I should. I think about where I want to go all the time. I visualize it all the time. Yeah, I don't think I live in. I don't, it says I don't really live in reality, which is good. I think reality is kind of a construct. So maybe none of us are living in reality. I think most of us are living in the stories that we tell ourselves. All of us are living in the stories we tell ourselves. So I try to tell myself a good story. I don't always do it, but I try to.
Okay, so but we could technically enjoy the present and have thoughts about the future
Yeah,
simultaneously.
if your goals are so small that you think you'll ever reach them, and therefore you can't enjoy the present, like there's something off. Meaning, from my perspective, and a lot of people like that. I know I'll never achieve what I want to achieve, and therefore I have to get good at appreciating what's going on right now because I'm never going to reach a point where I'm good. There's no such thing as good. Like there's no end. Like I talked to a guy, it was this story. There was a rabbi mentor, a friend of mine that told me, he's like, dude, when you get your third like fancy car, you gotta talk to me because you're never gonna be happy. And so I called my friend that has like 100 cars. And I was like, are you ever happy? He's like, no. He said, but the point isn't the car. The point is like your goals are so big that you're never gonna reach them. And as soon as you might reach your goals, you just make bigger ones. But you also have to learn, because you're never going to reach a point of satiation, to be really happy with what you have. So you have to learn how to appreciate what you have at the same time as not being satisfied, because there's no thing that like level you're going to get to where you actually feel that good, because you're just going to keep growing. It doesn't matter. At a certain point, it doesn't matter anymore. There's no, yeah, we want to pay our bills, but like after that, it's like, now we're just playing for like house money or how good we can get.
It's more than the money, it's the game itself.
It's just a game. The whole thing's a game. It's a simulation.
All right, but speaking about like being happy and satisfied, some people think that, having more is going to make them more stressful. There's a chazal that says, "Mar min nechas u'mar min if you have more stuff, you're more worried about, just more stressful. Think about what to worry about. Well, you have more what to lose. But I'm thinking about people that are not having too much money or too much stuff. They're also thinking about money all the time.
Yeah. What's your question?
Yeah, but like, aren't they, you rather maybe have more money, maybe have more things to worry about, but not look at your bank account and look in your pocket and your credit cards and like, okay, I'm thinking about money all the time. You might as well think about money and have the money, or think about the money and not have the money.
Yeah, I think yeah, I've never really had a situation. I think that most people, the people that are really good with money, are thinking about money all the time. The people that are thinking about, that aren't doing well, usually are thinking about the fact they don't have money, if that makes sense. What I've sort of found a lot of it comes down to self-trust. And like, do you trust yourself that you're a good steward? And you might say, okay, ego, whatever, you should never trust that you have enough. Like, I don't know. I think that when you feel when you feel appreciative of what you have, meaning what you value what you have, you take care to be the best steward of it. And so I just want to be the best steward of the most amount of money to help the most amount of people humanly possible within what I can achieve. And I think I can achieve a lot because, again, it's not me setting my own limits. It's like God setting my own limits and me just being able to kind of like blur that line between what I think I'm able to do and what he thinks I'm able to do, which is a lot more than I could do, and just trying to step into that.
Well, okay, I'm actually curious to see what's going to be in 10 years.
Yeah, me too. I'll be here.
Oh man, thank you so much for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And great job. Great questions. Thank you.
Thank you.